Donald Trump is completely losing control, and it's about to change everything. Today, European Union leaders are holding an emergency meeting in Brussels to discuss an international showdown that could shake the world. Trump's latest ultimatum? He's threatening to impose tariffs up to 25% on any European country that refuses to back the U.S. in its push to invade Greenland. But here's where it gets truly wild. Europe isn't backing down. In fact, they're uniting in response, sending a strong message to Trump. The stakes are higher than anyone anticipated, and the world is watching to see how this will unfold. Stay with me because the real twist in this story is just getting started. This isn't just about tariffs anymore. This is about power. Europe is facing an ultimatum, one that could drastically shift the global balance. Trump's demands aren't just about trade, they're about control. If European nations don't support the U.S. in invading Greenland, they risk crippling tariffs on everything from cars to steel. We're talking about economies being thrown into turmoil. But here's the question no one is asking. Why is Greenland such a hot-button issue right now? What does it really mean for the U.S. to stake a claim there, and why are European countries willing to risk everything to stop it? The answers might shock you. Trump's threat isn't just a bluff. European leaders are now taking it seriously. Sweden's prime minister has already made it clear, we will not let ourselves be blackmailed. It's not just words. It's a declaration of defiance. Sweden, Denmark, and even Norway are preparing for a united front against Trump's tariff threats. This isn't about Greenland anymore. It's about defending European sovereignty. And Europe isn't the only one feeling the heat. Notice what's missing from Trump's strategy. He's betting that Europe will bend under pressure. But that's not happening yet. What happens when they push back? This is where the story flips and the real battle begins. Now, this is where things get serious. The situation is escalating and fast. European leaders aren't just responding with words, they're making strategic moves. France's President Macron just doubled down. We will not be intimidated by Trump's tariffs. This isn't just about protecting Greenland, it's about standing firm against a U.S. president who's willing to risk everything for control over a piece of land that isn't even his. And here's the kicker. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Remember back to the Cold War? Back then, the world came to the edge of conflict over small territorial disputes. Today, we're on the verge of repeating history. Only now, the stakes are even higher. Europe's response is clear. They're not letting Trump dictate the future. But how long will they hold out before this turns into something much darker? The clock is ticking and the pressure is mounting. Trump's moves are starting to backfire. His threats to impose tariffs are only pushing Europe further away. European leaders are now doubling down on their opposition, with Macron stating bluntly, tariff threats are unacceptable. This isn't just a diplomatic spat, it's a clash of global power. The EU is making it clear that they won't be bullied into supporting a U.S. invasion of Greenland. And here's where it all changes. While Trump is focused on Greenland, he's ignoring something far more dangerous. He's alienating his closest allies. The U.S. has long been the economic and military powerhouse of the Western world, but if Europe and other key players start pulling away, the balance of power will shift dramatically. This isn't just about Greenland anymore. This is about how Trump's presidency is reshaping international relations. And if Europe holds its ground, it could spark a chain reaction that no one saw coming. Now, the crisis is stacking. First, the EU responds with a united front. Then we learn that major nations are already considering retaliatory measures. But it doesn't stop there. In a shocking turn, the European Commission has officially halted the approval of a massive trade deal with the U.S. worth billions of dollars. A deal that was meant to strengthen ties is now hanging by a thread, and it gets worse. Europe isn't just talking. They're organizing military drills with Denmark and Greenland. They're not just protecting a territory. They're preparing for a confrontation that could put the entire world on edge. This isn't a political disagreement anymore. It's becoming a full-blown geopolitical showdown. What happens if this continues? Europe is already taking steps to isolate the U.S., and Trump's tariffs might be the tipping point that unravels decades of international cooperation. The question is, who blinks first? Blinks. Now let's take a step back. All this political drama, these threats and tariffs, they're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. This is real life, and it's ordinary people who will bear the consequences. You think these trade wars don't affect you? Think again. The farmers in the U.S., the small business owners in Europe, these are the people who will pay the price when tariffs hit. When countries start retaliating, prices will rise, jobs will be lost, and economies will crumble. Europe is standing firm against Trump, but what about you? If you're an American worker or consumer, how does this play out for you? If you're in Europe, how does this affect your daily life? It's easy to see this as a distant political game, but the stakes are real. People will suffer. If this feels familiar, say so in the comments, because what's happening now could change everything for you too. Let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about tariffs or a conflict over Greenland. It's about a system in crisis. The truth is, Trump isn't acting alone. There's a larger game at play. This whole situation is driven by leverage. The U.S. uses its economic might to coerce and manipulate, while Europe pushes back, leveraging its own power to defend its sovereignty. But there's something deeper happening here. The world order is shifting. Global institutions like the United Nations are becoming less relevant, and countries are starting to take matters into their own hands. Trump's idea of the Board of Peace, where nations are expected to pay him billions just for a seat at the table, shows how the spectacle of power is replacing diplomacy. It's not just about Greenland or tariffs. It's about who controls the future of global politics. The power structures are breaking down, and this could be just the beginning of something far bigger. So what happens next? There are two possible paths here, and both are uncertain. On one hand, Europe could buckle under the pressure. Trump's tariffs could hit hard, and some nations might fold, opening the door for the U.S. to push forward with its plans. If that happens, we could see a reshaping of global alliances, with Europe becoming more isolated and the U.S. taking an even stronger position on the world stage. On the other hand, if Europe holds its ground and unites against Trump's threats, we could witness a shift in global power. Europe is more than just a trade bloc. It's a geopolitical force. If they manage to stand firm, it could spark a wave of resistance against U.S. dominance in international affairs. One thing's for sure, the next move is already being planned. Who will blink first? And what will the consequences be when they do? Here's the deep insight that changes everything. This isn't just about tariffs, Greenland, or even Trump's latest blunder. It's about the future of global power and how fragile the world order really is. The events unfolding right now are a preview of a new geopolitical landscape, one where old alliances are tested and new forces rise. So, what does this all mean for you? The decisions made today could shape the world your children inherit. Will we see a world where power is dominated by aggressive posturing and isolation? Or will Europe and the rest of the world come together to stop this madness? The truth is, the next steps are already being written, and we're all part of this unfolding drama. If you want to keep up with the latest developments and deep analysis, hit that follow button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.